All right, next, let's head over to John from Houston. John, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Yeah, doing really well, man. What can I help you with?
So one of the biggest problems I'm kind of dealing with right now is trying to find motivation to just really do anything.
Mhm.
I've been rotting in my room for the past like couple of days. I've been unable to find a job. I'm already in a bit of debt because I got into a car accident recently,
Mhm.
and I'm just really panicking right now because I don't know how to get out of this situation.
Sure. Well, I'm sorry you're going through a rough patch. Let me ask you a couple of questions. How old are you, first of all?
I'm 19.
Okay, got it. And just with life in general at the moment, has there been anything specific that's kind of put you in a funk?
Well, no, recently my parents just got divorced,
Hmm.
and it's really put into perspective a lot of things about my upbringing, but mainly just like with I'm discovering a lot of the negative traits that I have stem from narcissistic tendencies
Uh huh.
from that came from my mother.
Got it. Got it. And did the divorce just happen like a month ago, a few months ago? When did that happen?
It was just finalized as of, I believe, it was just finalized as of May,
Hmm.
and right now, my mom is trying to find a house and to be able to move out.
Yeah. Wow. Well, look, man. I think you need to be a little kind to yourself at the moment. Going through the divorce of your parents is a big life experience, and it's a really tricky one because I think we have these people in our lives who are supposed to be the thing that will always be there, always stick together through thick and thin, and witnessing that kind of fall apart and have these two people go in their own separate directions. That's a big thing to have to deal with. So I think the fact that you're in a place right now where you're not feeling like you're at your best is totally reasonable. I would be shocked if you were calling me and saying, "Hey, like everything's great. My parents just got divorced. I'm like running marathons." You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I guess before I say this next thing, is there anything else that's kind of happened in life, or is that sort of the main thing on the that's been going on?
Uh, Really, that's kind of been like the main thing that's been going on recently because
Hmm.
it's started making me worry about trying to get into like find a relationship for myself,
Hmm.
or and really just find like just friends in general, because I don't want to end up mistreating them without realizing I'm mistreating them, and end up pushing them away because I haven't surrounded myself with 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 people who are like who I don't really know how to describe it.
Who can maybe provide you feedback if in the event you're doing something negative? Is that what you're getting at?
Right.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it sounds a little bit like you're maybe taking some of the behaviors that you may have seen from one of your parents and worrying that you have internalized some of these behaviors. That's kind of what I'm hearing from you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That is
Well,
that is accurate.
uh-huh. Has there been anything in life as of late, let's say over the last year, 2 years, where you have acted a certain way out in the world and someone has given you feedback saying, "Hey, John, the way that you're working really doesn't work for me," and you just had no idea that you were being that way? Has something like that come up in the last 2 years for you?
I'd say in the last 2 years, thinking about it, there hasn't really been any like really big like situation where like they like someone had to sit me down and be like, say, hey, this is hey dude, that's not okay or whatever.
Hmm.
But I have picked up that I have had a lot of like outbursts and of like anger, and just a lot of these situations where I've ended up pushing people away or overreacting to something that didn't need to be reacted to as, strongly. And that has made like people not really, want to be around me, and at least from what I,
The feedback that you've gotten, kind of thing.
yeah, from the feedback that I received.
Got it.
But like I don't really, because from the feedback I received, it was all, it's reasonably, if someone's screaming at you over something very small, I assume that, people would either, go away, or, like not want to be around that, or they would be, and that's what usually tended to happen.
Yeah, and with you being the one doing the screaming over something kind of small, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Got it. All right. Well, so this is what I would say first. Let's kind of deal with the most manageable issues to begin with. And I think the most manageable issue right now is you finding work that kind of allows you to kind of get out of the current financial situation that you're in. When you say that you have debt, how much debt do you have?
It's nothing. It's only $1,000. It was because of a minor car accident that happened outside the house. My grandma paid for, or had paid the person so that my insurance didn't go up for the rates.
That's great. Awesome.
But that put me in about $2,600. I paid off about $1,600 right now, and I have the last 1,000 to cover.
Okay, great. Well, good for you for making good with your grandma and making sure that you're paying her back. That demonstrates a lot of character on your end. So I would then ask, remind me? Are you employed right now, or what are you doing for work? How much are you making?
Currently, I haven't been able to find a job. Because I go to school out of state, so whenever I leave for school, I'm not around here. So any job that I would have in the local area where I live would be, I'd be there for only about 2 to 3 months of working there, and then I'd be gone. And a lot of employers don't usually hire, people who are only going to be, who they know are only going to be there for a little bit of time.
Sure.
And even if trying to find seasonal work, I've put in hundreds of applications and I've just found nothing. Or I'll go and I'll get a job interview and then I'll be told, "Oh no, sorry, we don't want to hire you."
Okay. What about something that's more like in the freelance gig economy? Uber Eats, Uber, something like that.
I actually haven't considered that before.
That might be a good place to start. There are also a lot of really solid websites online that allow you to apply for remote jobs that very rarely require any sort of interview. And on top of that, something like JetBlue, the airline.
Right.
JetBlue is always hiring for customer service representatives. And that type of thing, you can work anywhere as long as you have an internet connection that you can connect to and kind of walk people through their problems and that type of thing. And last I checked, this was a couple of years ago, but they were pretty flexible in terms of you picking your own hours that you work as well. So I would maybe start thinking outside of the box. I know that, based on what you do and probably what the people around you do, it's easy to think that you have to go and work at like the neighborhood grocer or like the neighborhood Subway in your college town to make ends meet. But there are a lot of different ways that I think you could do this. And you said that your grandma paid for your accident so that it didn't show up on your insurance. What kind of car do you have?
If I drive a mini Paceman.
I don't even know what that is. Say it again.
Mini Paceman. It's a model of Mini Cooper.
Okay, and what's the year?
It's a 2014.
Okay. Yeah. So something within the gig economy where you're even just doing some Uber Eats, I would just do that for the next couple of months. I think when I was doing Uber a couple of years ago, back in 2020, this was before the pandemic, I ended up making, I think, around $25 an hour, not including gas. So probably at the end of it, somewhere around 15 or so. But if you're really just trying to hustle to do really anything, the Uber Eats might be a good bet, or hopping on and just taking a look at some of the airlines and applying for some of their remote customer service jobs. I think that would be the easiest thing for you to just get in, do quickly. And ultimately, even if you take one of these jobs for the next 3 months and then you quit in 3 months, yeah, you're going to disappoint your employer. But do you really care at the end of the day how a customer service representative from JetBlue feels about you in the long scheme of things?
Yeah, yeah, I guess that makes perfect sense. Like because at the end of the day, it's just another company.
Yeah, these people view their employees as completely replaceable, and I don't mean that in a way where you should become jaded or angry at big companies like this. It's just business. Everyone's replaceable, including the managers themselves. Everyone's replaceable. That's how big businesses like this work. So I wouldn't be too worried about applying for a job like that and then having to exit within 3 months just because your schedule changes. So that would be my advice there. Start looking for jobs inside of the gig economy as well as remote work. That allows you to kind of jump back and forth between 2 geographic locations and not have to worry about it. That's the first thing. So now the second thing, which might feel like a bit of a taller order. Have you ever with the emotional outbursts and like the anger stuff that you were talking about a little bit earlier, have you talked to anyone about that outside of me or your friends or your family?
I know I have seen a therapist about that.
Did you like that therapist, or did you not connect with them? What was the deal there?
I didn't really connect with them. More so, it was just kind of like they led everything to oh, here, fill out this worksheet, do whatever, and I told them that it didn't work with me, and they just didn't listen.
Yeah, that's lame. How old were you when you did that?
I'd say I was around 17, 17, 18. So it was I was just finishing up high school at the time.
Got it. And I mean, look, the thing about therapists is, when I started doing therapy, for example, it took me probably 10 therapists until I found someone that I really jived with, and that's really important, because if you don't like talking to the person that's in front of you, you're not going to be very open to being open with them, which makes sense, right? I mean, if you don't jive with someone, you don't really want to tell them about your life. Kind of makes sense.
Of course.
So from here, in terms of health insurance, are you still on your parents' insurance?
Currently, yes.
Do you know if their insurance covers that type of thing?
I do know that their insurance covers that type of thing. The only concern that I have right now is I'm trying to go military. So if I get any a diagnoses or whatever from whatever therapist that I go to, then I'm worried that that will affect the record and will prevent me from being able to serve.
Sure. Well, look, I don't know the specifics about your history or the specifics of these particular outbursts, but I think there were times where, I mean, a lot of times I went to therapy and I actually was just outright asking for some sort of diagnosis because it would help me sort of explain what was going on in my head. And I think the great thing about a therapist, number one, that you really click with and is really in your corner, is they're really hesitant to go immediately to a diagnosis because they understand the implications that has, in your case for the military, in other cases for different things that you might be applying for in the future. It has implications around healthcare. So, I think in my mind, you don't have to go in and say, oh, hey, I think I have this thing and I really need this to not be on my military application or anything like that. Right. I think you can go in and just have a conversation with people and say, hey, I have, some of these outbursts sometimes and I want to work on it. And no one's going to give you a diagnosis because of that, And again, I say that not knowing the specifics of your situation, but even if you just went to someone and said, hey, I'm not looking for a super formal meeting between us. I'm just kind of going through a difficult time right now. My parents are getting divorced and it would be nice to have someone to talk to. I think if you approach the conversation that way, again, your insurance or your parents' insurance would still cover it. And you would be able to participate in it in such a way where you didn't have to worry about getting some sort of diagnosis that messed you up. And the military isn't going to turn you away for simply going to therapy. That's not something that happens.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and the only reason I suggest that in the first place as well is it's especially with what you have going on right now with the split up of your parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to talk to people in your family about it because they're in it. They're rolling around in the furnace with you right now.
Yeah,
And
I've seen that firsthand.
Yeah, for sure. And when people are struggling themselves, it's hard for them to kind of be able to take a step back and look at things with an objective point of view in a way that's helpful for you, even though they probably more than like really want to be helpful for you because they care about you. It's hard to do it when you're living it yourself. So I would recommend reaching out to someone. I think there would be a lot of value for it if you were to do that, especially if you jived with people. And the great thing about, I think, most therapists is if they're real professionals, they'll give you a 20-minute consultation for free at the beginning where you just hop on a call, you guys can talk, and you'll know within the first 20 minutes whether or not you like this person.
Right.
You'll know pretty quickly. But I think, it would be valuable for you to do that so that you can have someone who's just really committed to being in your corner and hearing you out and helping you establish some great skills in terms of like your emotions and the way that you move forward and the way that you navigate through this difficult time for yourself, in ways that you can actually leverage to your benefit when you enter the military, because the military is going to be, a really stressful situation. Like that's the nature of like boot camp and, that type of thing. So I think even taking these emotional skills into something like that would just pay you dividends,
right,
moving into the future.
Yeah, that I do think that would. I think I would benefit from that. Some of my friends that from college I've been speaking to about this have even said they're like, yeah, you should probably go speak to someone about this. And I'm still kind of, I don't really know where to look.
Sure. Well, Psychology Today, if you just hop onto psychologytoday.com, I think that's the name. Hold on, let me look. Psychology Today. Yeah. Just hop onto psychologytoday.com. They have a list of therapists that just pop up inside of your general location. And these are all like well-trained people. They have like legit accreditations.
Right.
So something like this would give you everything that you need to kind of figure out who would be a good fit for you, who works with your parents' insurance, who has time and availability, all these different things. And I promise you, all these people would be really, really happy to work with a younger guy who's, just trying to do the right thing and stay on the straight and narrow in a really difficult time of life. I think a lot of people would be really excited to work with someone like this, like you, just because it's I don't know, it's really enlivening when we help someone who's, just trying to do the right thing, and you're clearly just trying to do the right thing and move forward in the way that is best for you.
Of course.
Well, I guess my very last question for you here is, has anything that I've suggested felt too overwhelming for you, or like something that you would potentially want to stay away from?
Honestly, no. I didn't consider the possibility of doing remote jobs. I actually, whenever I was looking and putting in applications, I tended to avoid them. And whenever I was, and then of course, trying to find a therapist, that's crucial for, keeping myself from developing something even worse than anything that I have now.
Sure. Well, look, man, no one expects you to have everything figured out emotionally at 19. Anyone who does expect that is expecting too much. Like, this is part of the joy of discovery of being someone who's 19 years old, and you're going to continue learning things about yourself, reining in certain things about your personality that you want to rein in over the next. I'm 32. You're gonna be doing it until 32. That's as far as I can really speak for. But I'm still doing it with certain behaviors inside of my personality. We still have to rein stuff in. So don't be afraid of it. Don't feel like there's something seriously wrong with you. Truly, there isn't. All right. Any last questions, John? Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling a lot better about my situation, and now I actually feel like I have a little bit of guidance to figure out where I should try to go right now.
Fabulous, man. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And, in both the realms of the work stuff as well as, finding a therapist, you're going to continue to run into some minor frustrations on both of those, in achieving both of those things. However, just push through the frustration. The difference between people who get shit done and the people who don't are those who can tolerate a certain level of frustration and just keep pushing forward until they find a solution to their problem. So just keep pushing through. Based on what you've told me here, you're already orienting yourself in such a way in the world where you're looking for solutions, you're looking for answers, even though you have this kind of challenging season of life happening. So I really think that you're going to be okay. I think that things are going to be totally fine. You just got to make sure that you keep taking those baby steps every day. So thanks for calling in, man. Really great to talk to you, and feel free to call in anytime.